Marsh Pod. We are recording this on Sunday afternoon. We had a weekend of travel on the West Coast. Was headed over to not the coast so much, but just western portion of the state in a very short amount of time to be able to get a look in at some scrimmages, some pickup games for a handful of SimWorld U teams. Was first off very appreciative of the open door that a lot of these organizations and these programs allowed. Media Day for Pac-12 was towards the end of last week, so it was a great opportunity then to talk with some players, talk with some coaches and some ADs, but spent pretty much Friday midday through this morning just taking a look and getting a look in. So wanted to report back. This is what we're seeing, or at least what I'm seeing. Planning to do a SEC tour here in the next couple weeks. So we'll plan to do that, kind of recapping everything. We are into the off season fully for pretty much everything. Obviously, football's coming back. But as I've said before, don't really lock in too much on that. And then we're going to do something here in the middle of the show, and then we're going to call it a day. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Let's start it off. We're just going to go pretty much from where I went. Started in Colorado, where let's start with Colorado State, who is in the, not necessarily a Pac-12 team, but Ore Edwards, from everything I saw, is going to be a ferocious defensive piece. Colorado State is not necessarily a group that I would look at and say they're going to run away with things, but I think they might make the Mountain West Conference a little interesting, particularly with the introduction of Gonzaga and the great season that Ireland Early and New Mexico had last season. You add in the addition of Jarrell Beauchamp to the Running Rebels, and I think that the Mountain West is going to be one of the most interesting conferences to keep an eye on. And Edwards is going to be the guy that's probably getting the primary assignment against Ireland Earlies, or he could, Ireland Earlies and the Jarrell Beauchamps of the world. He's got size, he's physical, he's going to bring a type of approach that not many guys in the Mountain West are going to offer. 6'7", 205. It's the perfect type of build. If he's not getting the primary assignment of guys like that, add Caden Shipp to that mix in Gonzaga, that's a misuse of their assets by Miko Medved, who's the head coach for Colorado State. But Ore Edwards looked as billed as you could get as a defensive piece. In Colorado, Brian Vaughn, after playing a year in the NBL in Australia, he looked dominant. Pac-12, I think Colorado's got an outside shot at it based purely off of Brian Vaughn. Are they going to be the best team? There's a lot of contenders for that, but I think matchup dependent, Brian Vaughn could be really good for Colorado. He looks poised. He looks like he's a guy that played against professional athletes for the last 12 months, and he's coming in ready to impose that type of physicality and the learnings from down under to then, now go up against amateurs. I think also, as a tangent, this is a great move by SimWorld U. Years past, this would have lost his amateurism, but they've allowed him with a waiver to return to school. So that's great. California. Jason Tada looked better with pick and roll. He looked good in pull-up jumpers. Tada has kind of been a left a meat on the bone for me kind of guy. He was good last year. California was not. But he's been, since his time in SimWorld Prep, highly ranked. But there was just always wanting something more. It never really felt, and I think Caden Shipp kind of had a little bit of this, never really felt like he took over. And when he showed up in places, it was kind of like, all right, now's the time. Now's this team's going to really drive because they've got Jason Todd on the roster. That hasn't really happened. But if he can be more of an on-ball creator, and from everything that I saw in limited runs with him, he looked it, then I think that's a big missing piece for this group. It went down to Boise State, where Carmelo Looper was really versatile. I saw him on multiple occasions getting to the rim, both with the ball, without the ball. I don't know that Looper's going to suddenly become a first-round pick, but I think he's going to be a guy that you see constantly. They're high on him. They think they can build around him. I think he's got decent upside, projects as a guy that can play on the wing, that can make baskets. Is he going to be a 20-point per game scorer? I'd be impressed if he gets there, but I do think Carmelo Looper is going to be a guy that we have to keep an eye on. Real quick, just so that we don't have people jumping in and claiming to have heard every moment of it, if you are tuning in right now, I want you to, we're going to see if we can't get a little bonus for some folks, but I want you to drop the number 1 into the chat, and then I want you to put in the team out west that you're most looking forward to seeing. Got to put the number 1 first. Just do 1 dash and put in the team. That's all you got to do. Nothing more. That's it. And we're going to maybe see if we can't connive our way with some leadership on something from there. They don't know we're doing this. They're going to hear this for the first time, be like, maybe we can't do that. I don't care. We're gonna put them in a corner for you. So 1 dash the team you're most looking forward to watching in the western part of the state. So these teams, I'm listening to somebody else, a USC. We're going to get to UCLA. Insert the team Gonzaga, who I did not get a chance to visit. Drop them in, and we'll see what we can do. All right, headed to Arizona. A lot of things. I think this is a group that's found 3 pieces. Theophilus Hilton is confident. He had a really good season last year for this group. This is a very dangerous Arizona squad. I think they have a lot of pieces that makes you feel like they can make a run in the Pac-12. A big piece of that is Corey Yams. On the defensive end of the floor, Corey Yams was disruptive. We saw some of the highlights, some of the leak footage. This is what Corey Yams has been doing. I've always said I wanted him to be more offensively gifted, but I'm kind of just wondering if maybe that's not who Yams is. And if I could see him being a Jonathan Isaac, these are very different styles, but bear with me, a Jared Allen, a guy that on the defensive end is lengthy, is disruptive, who's athletic, and just makes life absolutely miserable for the opposing team. If he does not become a number 1 offensive option, I think his defense is so good that it's not going to matter. And I think maybe we've kind of, and we're going to do this with a lot of guys in SimWorld Prep, in SimWorld U until they get there. You're going to see them, you're going to say, I want more. I have been very vocal on wanting more out of Royce Anderson because we have them in this very unique environment. But perhaps it's that we've just been wanting the wrong things. And I think with Corey Yams, if we end up seeing him as a versatile defender, which is what he looks like, I still think he's got a huge upside. I don't think he's Rudy Gobert because Gobert is a miserable perimeter defender. I think Corey Yams does a much better job of that. But think of that type of disruptiveness, but with more versatility, so he's not just getting cooked by perimeter pieces, because I just think Yams moves as well as any big man in college basketball. And then Khalil Erickson continues to look athletic. Erickson has always been a really good on-ball defensive threat. I kind of have envisioned him as like a Matisse Thybulle type of guy. You can turn to him on the defensive end. If he can get a little bit more of an offensive game, I think there's a long runway for Erickson to SWBA, to SWBA. He's lengthy. He can be disruptive. He's obviously got an attitude to him, but I think on the defensive end you kind of need that. I think the upside is really high, and I think we're going to see a lot of Erickson being a disruptive force on the defensive end. And then I finished out the trip to UCLA. LeGerald Carroll is a legit threat, folks. I personally think his draft floor is fringe lottery. I think a lot of it is going to come down to personality. There's been some concerns about what's his focus, where is he actually reliant on, what does he care more about, the college experience on the floor or off the floor. And if he's going to rely on the floor, that's dangerous. And I think he could have a good season and become a top 14 pick, guaranteed lottery in SimWorld BA. But he's still not the best player on the team. That's Jalen Snow, and I think UCLA has a chance to have 3 first-round picks between Snow, J.J. Ortega, and LeGerald Carroll. My concern with this group that I saw is I just don't know how they're going to fare inside. Particularly in the Pac-12, we talked about just seeing how impactful Brian Vaughn was in the paint. UCLA does not. They don't currently have that. Franklin Tyson, Mitchell Marison, Cole are good. They're fine, but they're not really paint stoppers. And I think the wrong matchup could hurt this group. Does that matter for their SWBA prospects? No, of course not. But for Pac-12 prospects, Corey Yams, and add to that list of good interior threats in the conference, that's where I get a little nervous with the Bruins and saw that up close and personally. So should be a lot of fun. Like I said, we're going to be headed southeast area, some SEC schools, maybe headed to Texas for a little bit. We'll report back, let you know what we're seeing, what we're hearing, as we are, let's see, it's August 18th, so we're, 6 weeks away from the beginning of SimWorld U Hoops activity in the month of October. So look forward to that. We'll catch you on SimWorld Today all week, and we'll back here on Monday for Marsh. Thanks for tuning in.